Hi folks, really good to be with you today and delivering this act of worship. So Mr. Price started the week by unpicking the story of David and Goliath, and ultimately how David not only found the courage to fight the giant Goliath, but also he found in himself the gifts that God had given him. This is very much a story of giants and swords. And we are raised on this diet of inspirational tales. When you think about it, from the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz, who finds courage before he goes and fights the witch, to Star Wars and Harry Potter. There are, however, many stories and many examples that relate to us today, where ordinary people have found the courage to do extraordinary things. So we're just going to have a look at some of these and explore further. 5 people pictured here were ordinary people who had the courage and bravery to stand up for what they believed in. Rosa Parks on the top left was a civil rights leader who refused to give up her seat to a white passenger on a segregated bus. Her bravery led to nationwide efforts to end racial segregation. Top right we have Martin Luther King, and he fought against racial discrimination and supported the civil rights movement despite opposition and discrimination in many parts of America. Next we have Florence Nightingale. Florence was from a wealthy family. They owned 2 enormous houses, they had servants, they went on exotic holidays overseas, so money was never a problem. However, Florence knew that most people didn't live like her. Many people were extremely poor. So at the age of 24, Florence decided that she wanted to do something different with her life. She wanted to become a nurse and care for the sick. She knew that nursing was a worthwhile career, and Florence became known as the Lady with a Lamp. She is the founder of modern nursing as it is, an amazing lady who showed so much courage. We then move on to people that we know that are out there today making a difference, who have shown courage. You have Greta Thunberg, and as we all know, she's a Swedish schoolgirl who has become a global leader for environmental issues. And she herself is taken aback by her own following, which we saw when she visited Bristol and other places in the UK recently, before we went into lockdown. And finally, we have Marcus Rashford, who has shown courage. He's shared his story with us. He has shared how he was brought up and how free school meals meant that he was actually fed during term time, and also what he had to go through. And he campaigned for free school meal vouchers to go through the summer holidays so that we can actually support all others and bring equality. And he has had the courage to do that. He is a famous footballer, and being famous may have helped him. However, he didn't have to share as much as he did in order for him to actually make things happen. So they were just 5 ordinary people. Normal, everyday people who made a choice, who decided that they were going to stand up for what they believed in. And you have to pause and think, where did they get that courage from? What made Rosa Parks refuse to give up her seat on that bus? What made Marcus Rashford decide to share his story with us and to campaign like he has done? What made Florence Nightingale give up her comfortable life with a rich husband and her own house and holidays to actually do what she did? So there's times that we have to actually pause and think, where did they get that courage? So I have come across a poem by Jan Edmonds called Overcoming Fear that I'd like to share with you. I'm just going to read it. Sometimes we don't feel very brave when we are all alone. We're faced with something very new that leads to the unknown. We may have fear of simple things like wind or rain or height, or fear when we go to bed, the turning out of the light. We need to stop and think a while just why we feel this way. Remember that the bravest ones can chase their fears away. Sometimes something happens and then without a thought, we find the courage to do the things we ought. Bravery takes over and new confidence we find. the problem then is overcome and fear goes from our mind. Just take a time, just take a moment just to think about that, and think about, where does that confidence come from? And that confidence is courage. That's what drives us on to do things that sometimes we do fear and that we are almost scared of. So Mr. Paris's message in last week's Act of Worship was one of hope for all of us to show kindness and believe in equality, to trust the good in people and bravely build a better future through our actions to benefit all. And it's that last little bit really, bravely build a better future. How do we do that? To build a better future, it takes courage. It means you need to step out of your familiar routines and patterns. And sometimes we will be feeling fear, yet we do choose to act. It's a quote from Nelson Mandela: "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is the man who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." And it is about conquering fear. And if we don't think about that in terms of fear that we feel, we don't feel too overwhelmed. But it also depends on what we are about to take on or what we're about to do. So having courage may mean following your heart and intuition, using your talents as Florence Nightingale did, or persevering in the face of adversity as David did when he chose to fight Goliath. It may be finding the courage to stand up for what is right. We explored this in Anti-Bullying Week, and we discussed then that it's not all right to be a bystander and that change started with us. And actually sometimes you do have to find that courage to stand up and stand up to what you believe in. For some of us, our giants are everyday things that require courage to get through each day. It's important that we are mindful and recognise this in supporting each other and showing kindness. I'm going to finish with a prayer. Lord, help us to be courageous. Help us to be brave enough to do the right thing, not the easy choice. Help us to choose the way you want us to choose, using our talents and gifts that you have given us. Amen. Can I just say it's been an absolute pleasure as always delivering this act of worship. Can't wait to see more of you on site. Missing you all. Take care.